All right, so let's dive into some pretty major stuff happening right now.
Okay.
A whole wave of executive orders
Right.
signed by the newly reinstated U.S. president.
Yeah.
And what's really wild is
Mm-hmm.
these aren't just, focused on the U.S.
Right.
They're really making waves globally,
Yeah, they're far-reaching.
affecting everything from trade and international relations
Absolutely.
to even, believe it or not, social media.
That's right.
We're talking potential shifts in birthright citizenship,
Huge.
tariffs on longtime allies,
Wow. Yeah.
and even a really unexpected idea about TikTok.
You're not kidding.
So whether you're in the U.S. or anywhere else in the world,
Yeah.
buckle up because this stuff could have ripple effects reaching your doorstep.
It's true. The sheer range of these orders is what's really fascinating.
Yeah,
It's clear the president wants to make a big mark
for sure.
on policy, both at home and abroad,
Yeah.
and everyone's watching closely to see how it all unfolds.
So first up, let's
Okay.
head to the U.S.-Mexico border.
All right.
The president has signed multiple orders aimed at what he's calling an invasion
Right.
at the southern border.
Yeah,
He's even gone so far as to declare a national emergency,
I know. It's a big deal.
which gives him access to certain executive powers.
Exactly.
And he's been incredibly vocal about his stance on immigration,
Very much so.
connecting it to issues like drug trafficking, crime,
Mm-hmm.
and national security.
Of course.
What are the ramifications of declaring a national emergency like this? I mean, there has to be some kind of legal precedent.
Yeah, declaring a national emergency at the border
Yeah.
is a very serious action, and it's almost certainly going to be challenged in court
Yeah.
while there are precedents for using emergency powers.
Okay.
The specific context here and how far the president's willing to go with these actions are going to be under intense scrutiny.
I bet.
It could very easily chill relations with Mexico and other Latin American countries,
Mm-hmm.
potentially making it much harder to work together on things like migration and trade,
Right.
which are already complex issues as it is.
And then there's this proposed change to birthright citizenship,
Oh, yeah,
which is already stirring up a ton of controversy.
understandably.
Can you break down the existing legal framework for us?
Yeah.
And explain how this executive order is aiming to change it?
Well, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is the foundation here.
Right.
It guarantees citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil,
Okay.
regardless of their parents' citizenship status.
Gotcha.
This executive order is a direct challenge to that long-standing legal framework.
Wow.
The legal challenges are pretty much guaranteed,
Yeah.
and the potential impact on society is huge.
Huge. Yeah.
We're talking about families, communities, even how American identity is defined.
That's a lot.
It really is.
Now let's shift gears to the economic side of things.
Okay.
The president's announced a plan to slap a 25% tariff on goods coming from Mexico and Canada,
Yeah, I heard about that.
claiming unfair trade practices.
Right.
But he didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
He's also floated the idea of a universal tariff on every country doing business with the U.S.
Wow.
Could these tariffs actually achieve what he's hoping for?
That's the question.
Or is this a recipe for disaster?
Well, these tariffs have the potential to create massive economic shifts both within the U.S. and globally.
Yeah.
The president claims they'll protect American jobs and businesses,
Right.
but there's a real risk they could backfire.
How so?
Well, we could see higher prices for consumers,
Yeah.
retaliation from other countries,
Right.
and serious disruptions to global supply chains impacting businesses and individuals far beyond U.S. borders.
So it's not just a U.S. problem.
Not at all. Think about everyday items.
Right.
From the food you buy at the grocery store to the electronics you rely on.
Yeah.
Tariffs like these could cause prices to spike.
For everyone.
Exactly.
He seems particularly worried about the trade deficit with the European Union.
Yeah, that's been a talking point.
And he even threw out the term BRICS nations in this context.
I got that.
For those of us who need a refresher, could you remind us what BRICS nations are?
Yeah.
And why they might be factoring into these trade decisions?
Well, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Right.
It's a group of major economies that are really starting to flex their muscles on the world stage.
Yeah, I can see that.
The president's concern about them points to a larger shift happening in the global economy,
Okay.
where these nations are challenging the U.S. and its allies in terms of economic power.
Interesting.
It's a new playing field, and these trade decisions are part of how the U.S. is trying to navigate that.
So turning to foreign policy,
Right.
the president's been pretty upfront about his priorities,
He has.
sharing his views on NATO, Russia, China, and the ongoing war in Ukraine.
Of course, a major issue.
He even revealed plans to meet with President Putin.
Yeah. That got everyone's attention.
but also said he wants the war to end,
Right.
highlighting the devastating human cost.
It's a terrible situation.
He cited some alarming figures about soldier casualties on both sides.
It's heartbreaking.
What are his likely goals going into these meetings, given the current geopolitical landscape?
That's a tough one to answer.
I know, it's complex.
It really is. I think it's vital to understand his objectives in these situations.
Okay.
He's already hinted at a different approach to international relations,
Right.
which could impact global stability and those existing alliances you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly a delicate situation.
Definitely.
He says he wants the war in Ukraine to end,
Yeah,
and it's hard to argue with that given the tragic loss of life.
of course.
But finding a peaceful solution will require some extremely careful diplomacy
Right.
and a deep understanding of what's motivating everyone involved.
It's a lot.
It really is.
All right, and now for the bombshell.
Okay, what is it?
The president dropped this completely out of left field.
Oh, boy.
He wants the U.S. government to buy a 50% stake in TikTok if they want to keep operating in the U.S.
You're kidding.
He claims it's justified because of the value the U.S. government created by giving them the green light in the first place.
That's,
This seems
yeah.
unprecedented, to say the least.
That's certainly a highly unusual proposal.
Yeah,
And it raises a lot of questions, both legally and logistically.
absolutely.
While there are definitely national security concerns surrounding TikTok,
Right.
this joint venture idea is unlike anything we've seen before.
Help us break this down.
Sure.
How realistic is this proposal even?
It's hard to say.
And what kind of legal and logistical hoops would they have to jump through to make this happen?
Well, there are a lot of unknowns.
I imagine.
And could this set a precedent for the government getting involved with other tech companies down the line?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's the big concern, isn't it?
They seem like it.
While there are established ways for the government to address national security risks, like the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or CFI-US,
Right.
this proposal goes way beyond typical regulatory action.
So it's a whole new ballgame.
Exactly. If the government starts acquiring ownership stakes in companies based on national security
Right.
or some perceived value they've created,
Yeah,
it could create a chilling effect on innovation and investment.
for sure.
Imagine the impact on the tech sector if companies believe the government could suddenly become a majority shareholder.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. We also have executive orders reforming how the federal government hires people,
Okay.
creating a whole new Department of Governmental Efficiency,
Wow.
declaring a national energy emergency,
This is a lot.
and even pulling the U.S. out of the World Health Organization.
Seriously.
Yeah, this feels like a massive use of executive power.
It really does. Are there any checks and balances in place to prevent abuse?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
It is. The U.S. system of government is carefully designed with a balance of powers. While the president does have significant executive authority, these actions are likely to face pushback,
I would think so.
especially from those who believe they overstepped his constitutional powers.
Makes sense.
The sheer volume of executive orders in such a short time
It's a lot.
is definitely raising eyebrows
Yeah,
and prompting questions about the limits of executive power.
for sure. And let's not forget the reactions from the American public.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This is already generating strong opinions from different political factions
Of course.
and could further divide a nation that's already pretty fractured.
It's a valid concern.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
And each of these orders has the potential to trigger a chain reaction, both inside the U.S. and across the globe.
It's true.
Before we get too lost in those chain reactions, though,
Okay.
let's take a moment to digest all of this.
Good idea.
What we've discussed so far has significant implications for everyone,
Yeah.
whether you're a U.S. citizen directly affected by these policies
Okay.
or someone living in another part of the world feeling the ripple effects.
It's a global issue.
When we come back, we'll explore how these executive orders might impact your life, your job, your future.
Ready.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back.
All right, so let's
Yeah.
connect the dots here between what we've discussed
Okay.
and how these executive orders could actually impact you,
Right.
no matter where you are in the world.
It's true.
We've outlined some pretty big changes,
We have.
and it's time to look at how those changes translate into actual consequences,
Yeah.
both for individuals and for the global community as a whole.
Absolutely. Let's start with the economic side of things.
Okay.
Those tariffs we talked about, the ones on Mexico, Canada,
Right.
and potentially even more countries,
Yeah.
they could easily spark a trade war.
And that means?
Higher prices on almost everything, groceries, electronics, you name it.
Wow.
That's going to affect consumers worldwide.
Globally. Yeah.
As supply chains get disrupted and businesses struggle to adjust to this new trade landscape,
It's a ripple effect.
it is a classic domino effect.
Right.
One country imposes tariffs,
Yeah.
another retaliates,
Yeah.
and suddenly everyone is paying more for everyday goods.
For the things they need.
Exactly. For businesses, these tariffs could mean a hit to their revenue, potential job cuts,
Wow.
and difficulty getting the materials they need to operate.
And we can't overlook the potential impact on immigration either.
No, absolutely not.
The president's focus on border security and his position on birthright citizenship could have a ripple effect on migration patterns, family reunification,
Right.
and even the cultural fabric of the United States.
Huge implications.
If these policies are implemented,
Yeah,
it's likely that we'll see a shift in how people move across borders,
for sure.
not just between the U.S. and Mexico,
Right.
but potentially globally as well.
It's all connected. This ties into the larger picture of international relations.
Okay.
These immigration policies could strain relations with neighboring countries.
Yeah.
And impact how the world views the U.S.
Yeah. All interconnected.
Speaking of the world stage, the president's comments on NATO, Russia, and China have certainly shaken things up.
Oh, yeah.
His approach seems to be a departure from what we've seen from previous administrations.
It is. His pronouncements on foreign policy
Uh-huh.
have the potential to reshape global alliances
Right.
and redefine the role the U.S. plays in international affairs.
Big stuff.
It is. The meeting with President Putin, for example,
Right.
is a high-stakes event.
For sure.
Depending on how he approaches it, it could either escalate tensions or open the door to dialogue.
We'll have to see how that plays out. And then there's that bombshell about the U.S. government wanting to acquire a stake in TikTok.
Oh, yeah, that was a surprise.
It's not every day you see a government proposing to become a part owner of a social media platform.
Definitely not, especially one as popular and influential as TikTok.
What implications could this have? Not just for TikTok, but for other tech companies as well.
It's a bold move.
And one that raises serious concerns about government overreach and potential interference with the free market.
Okay.
Imagine the precedent this would set if it were to happen.
Yeah,
Other tech companies might start to worry about whether they could be next,
I see.
which could stifle innovation and make investors hesitant to support new ventures.
And what about the broader issue of executive power?
Right.
The president's been signing these orders at a rapid pace,
He has.
and it's raising questions about whether he's pushing the boundaries of his authority.
It's a valid concern. What are the potential long-term consequences
Yeah.
for the balance of power in the U.S. government if this trend continues?
Good question.
The U.S. system of government is built on a delicate balance of power.
Right.
While the president does have significant executive authority,
Uh-huh.
these actions are likely to face legal challenges,
Okay.
particularly from those who believe they exceed the scope of his constitutional powers.
I can see that happening.
This legal battle could have lasting implications for how presidential power is defined and exercised in the future.
Interesting.
It's also crucial to consider the public's reaction to all of this.
For sure.
We're already seeing strong reactions from both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah, definitely.
And this could further deepen the divisions within the country.
It feels like we're at a pivotal moment.
I think so.
These executive orders could set in motion a series of events that reshape the world order.
It's true, with consequences that reach far beyond U.S. borders.
One detail from the president's remarks that really stood out to me
Okay.
was his concern about China's control of the Panama Canal.
Right. He even called it a terrible mistake by former President Jimmy Carter.
What are the strategic implications of this situation?
Well, the Panama Canal is a critical piece of global infrastructure,
Okay.
essential for international trade and commerce.
Yeah.
China's control over it raises important questions about the balance of power in the world
Uh-huh.
and how that balance is shifting. This situation is definitely one to watch closely,
Agreed.
as it highlights the complex geopolitical dynamics at play in the 21st century.
It's clear that we're living in a time of great uncertainty and change.
That's for sure.
The decisions being made today will have profound implications for the future, not just for Americans,
Right.
but for people all over the world.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to take a moment to connect this back to you, the listener.
Right.
What we've been discussing has the potential to impact your life in tangible ways, your job, your finances, your personal freedoms.
So much to think about, right?
It is a lot.
And it can feel overwhelming.
Oh, for sure.
But it's more important than ever to stay informed and engaged.
Absolutely.
We encourage you to dig deeper into the topics we've discussed today.
Yeah.
Do your own research and come to your own conclusions.
Don't just accept the headlines.
Exactly. Challenge them.
Exactly. We live in an age of information overload.
We do.
But that also means we have more access to information than ever before. Use that access to your advantage.
How so?
Read articles from different sources.
Okay.
Listen to podcasts with diverse perspectives.
Yeah.
And engage in thoughtful conversations with people who hold different viewpoints.
I like that. And
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
this isn't just about politics. It's about your life,
It is.
your community,
Yeah.
your future.
Absolutely. The decisions being made by world leaders have a direct impact on all of us.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to make your voice heard.
How can people do that?
Engage in respectful dialogue.
Okay.
Contact your elected officials.
Right.
Participate in peaceful protests.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many ways to make a difference.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the power of your individual voice.
Now we want to hear from you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on what we've discussed today?
I'm curious.
What stood out to you?
Yeah.
What are your biggest concerns? What questions do you still have?
Let us know.
Head over to the comments section and share your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation going.
We believe in the power of informed debate and diverse perspectives.
Absolutely.
Let's learn from each other and work together to create a better future for everyone.
And if you found this deep dive insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.
That's right.
The more people who are informed and engaged,
Yeah.
the better equipped we'll all be to navigate the complexities of the world we live in.
Agreed.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep questioning,
Keep learning.
and keep diving deep.